Alright, everybody, welcome back to the first 5 turns. Here's some more singles that I picked up. I wanted to give you a look at them really quick. Some of them are going to be going into decks. A lot of these are just for the Kamigawa collections. These aren't the same ones I got in the mail yesterday, but they're still pretty neat. So, first one we have here is 8.5 Tails. A lot of people make a commander deck after this one. It's 2 white. It's legendary creature Fox Cleric. So if you're trying to do a fox and you want to go fox tribal, then this is the one for you. Might be a hard time, but it's pretty neat. So it's got 1 white, 1 colorless. Target permanent you control gains protection from white until end of turn. Or 1 colorless. Target spell or permanent becomes white until end of turn. It's pretty neat. Really neat art. A lot of people do run this as a commander. It's been reprinted quite a few times, and it's only like $2 right now, as you can see. The next one I picked up isn't Kamigawa, but this is a shout out to LeBron again. It's Gabe, Guru of Spores. Green, black, white, 2 colorless. Legendary. Fungus, Shaman. Gabe, Guru of Spores enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters on it. 1 colorless, remove a 1/1 counter from a creature you control. Create a 1/1 green sapperling creature with creature token. 1 colorless, sacrifice a creature. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. I think it's pretty cool. Not something that I think I'd play, but the guy that is building it, he says that he really enjoys the build. So I'm going to be interested to see how that deck is. Hopefully he sends me a deck list. We can take a look at it at some point. So, LeBron, if you're out there and you're listening, which I'm pretty sure you may be the only one listening, but send it in because I want to see the deck list when it's ready. I'll throw it on the channel and review it. The next one is Goto from Kamigawa. It's been reprinted quite a few times. A lot of people do artifact equipment builds with this guy. He's really good for that, so I'm just going to move on to the next one. Heartless had a Zugo. So, I wish I had a different version of this. Pretty much, it's hard to read because, I don't know, this reprinted version I'm not a fan of. But it's a Kamigawa card, of course. Most of these will be. I'll let you know when they're not. It's tap. Heartless Hadasugu deals damage to each player equal to that player's life total rounded down. It's pretty cool. And it's 5-drop for a 4/3. I think there's something else in there that it's missing. I wish there was a better version of it to show you. Anyway, Masurek Kroll Death Priest. Not from Kamigawa. I just thought it was cool. So if you're doing Sacrifice, this is a really good card. So you got a green, black, and 3 colorless. Legendary creature, Insect Shaman. So if you're building that insect deck with that Planeswalker, I want to say, that lets you get insect creatures. This is a good one for it. Flying 2/2. When a player sacrifices another permanent, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I thought about putting this in my land mulch deck just because of this ability. I'm doing a lot of sacrificing. I don't do a lot of small creatures, even though I could. And if you're doing a budget build, I would go for this. It's showing right now it's about $4. You probably could get one for $3, $3.50. I found one at the store for like $2. That's where most of these are coming from. So the prices match up what I paid in real life, as opposed to what they're showing here with the TCG player market price. So that's going to be a good thing. The next one is Nether Trader. 2 black, haste, shadow, which means this creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. Very specific. Most of the time you can get through with this guy. If you're playing against another black player, they may have shadow. A lot of the rogue decks do. It also says when another creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a black. If you do, return Nether Trader from your graveyard to the battlefield. So he's got haste as well. So I thought this was really cool because it is 2 black. You have a sacrifice outlet that you can get back for a black. If you're doing a Crick sacrifice deck, then you're paying your 2 life to get your guy back to the battlefield. And you can sack him again. Yawgmoth players like this, obviously Corvold or any other. If you're doing Gabe, Guru, Spore, that's something really cool that you could do, stripping encounters around. Nether Trader, as a matter of fact, Then you've got Masurek, Crawl Death Priest, so that when you're sacrificing other stuff, you put things on Nether Trader. Then you've got Gabe, which is removing one counter from a creature you control to make a sapling token, and then sacrificing a creature, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. I feel like there is a wombo combo with Gabe, Masurek, Crawl Death Priest, and Nether Trader. Those three seem to be really cool, and that's why I picked them up. So, if you want to build with those, I think you ought to go for it, man. It'll be an interesting one. Here we got Saizon, Perverter of Truth. It's in Kamigawa, of course. So it's 2 black, 3 colorless. Legendary creature, Demon Spirit. So if you want to do Demon Spirit tribal, there's a lot actually. I was gonna say that that's pretty narrow, but not really. There's quite a few of those in Kamigawa. So at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses 2 life and draws 2 cards. It's pretty neat, honestly. He's a 6/5 for 5. I like this ability. I like the card draw. It's pretty neat when you're playing multiplayer. Speeds the game up a little bit. You're banging them for life, and then if you have other stacks abilities that go with that, so when people are drawing cards or losing life, you're good to go. Sicky, Season's Guide. So I picked this one up just to fill slots. I'm trying to get all the rest of the block filled in. But anyway, you've got 3 green, 5 colorless, so 8 in total. Legendary creature, Spirit, and he is green. Seikei Season's Guide. It comes into play with 8 1/1 counters on it. If damage would be dealt to Seikei, prevent that damage, remove that many 1/1 counters from Seikei, and put that many 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens into play. Sacrifice 8 spirits, return Seikei from your graveyard to play. Man, it's a lot like Vigor, to where you're preventing that damage. However, this guy, you're taking those damages away, and you're making a bunch of little tokens. Now, what you could do is you could do Seikei with Masurek, right? And then your Gabe, your Spores. You're making Spores and Spirits. That's, yay, token generation. Anyway, next one, Silent Blade Oni. So I picked this up just so I could have, I've been doing some demon thoughts too. Or ninja thoughts. This guy's pretty cool. So 2 black, 2 blue, 3 colorless. So pretty intensive for 7. However, his ninjutsu is 6. A blue and a black and 4 colors. Now, if you didn't know, ninjutsu is you pay the ninjutsu cost, which is 6 in this case, and you return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. So the cool thing is this is after blockers have been declared, because it says it an unblocked attacker. So then usually it's going through, and that's the cool thing about ninjutsu, is that they will hit. And the cool thing too is when it hits, it says when Silent Blade Oni deals combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand. You may cast a non-land card from it without paying its mana cost. Honestly, not bad. If you're able to get in pretty consistently with unblocked attackers, rogues, other ninjas, ninjutsu and ninjas back and forth. That's pretty fun. There's actually a way. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's move on to the next one. So we'll go down here to 1 green, and this is from it's a starter 95, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, shuffle any number of creature cards from your graveyard into your library. So, I'm a big fan about graveyard recursion when it goes back into your library, especially if you're playing against mill decks, or if you're having to try to have a well-rounded deck and you want to have options, or if you have a deck that plays off the top of your library. Or let's say that you have a bunch of creatures that you've sacrificed whenever we're looking at the Gabe, Guru, Spores, or the Masurek, Crawl Death Priest. Renewing Touch is pretty cool because you're taking all those creatures that are in your graveyard and you're chunking them right back into your library. I mean, let's say that you want to get ETB effects and you're sacrificing after the ETB effects, or the ETB effects are sacrificing. when they come in. Then you can hit that renewing touch, put them back into your library, and keep playing them, or go search for them another time, or play them off the top. So I'm a big fan of this. Next, we're going to look at mnemonic betrayal. So it's 1 black, a blue, and a colorless. Sorcery. Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. You may cast those cards this turn, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast those spells. At the beginning of the next end step, if any of those cards remain exiled, return them to their owner's graveyard. Exile mnemonic betrayal. There's some interesting things you can do with mnemonic betrayal. I picked it up because there was a combo, and I can't remember how the combo went, but I'll have to look it up at some point. But it's an interesting card just in general. I mean, you're looking at $4 for this, but it's a combo enabler for some decks. Being able to play your opponent's stuff is always fun, always interesting. And in blue and black, there's all kinds of debauchery that you can do with that one. Let's go over here and look at some lands. I picked up Tranquil Garden. This is from Kamigawa. 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Tap, add green or white to your mana pool. Tranquil Garden doesn't untap during your next untap step. So there's a series of these lands that I've been trying to get because, for one, they're dual colored lands, and they are from Kamigawa. So eventually I want to be able to just play Kamigawa dual lands and Kamigawa lands in my Kamigawa decks that I've been building. So that's why I'm trying to pick this one up. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and they're not that expensive, like 15 cents each. Next up is Maze's End. So I picked this one up just because it's been on the downturn ever since Golos, Tireless Wanderer, Pilgrim, whatever, was banned. So it says Maze's End enters the battlefield tap. Tap to add a colorless. 3, tap, return Maze's End to its owner's hand. Search your library for a gate card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. So pretty simple, especially with landfall. And if you are playing gates, the big deal was to just tutor for gates all day long and get all your gates out there and win the game. So pretty neat. But yeah, pick it up if you want it. If you're really big in playing gates, it's just, if you don't know what a gate is, it's a subtype of land. It'll say it. So where it says land on this one, a gate will have beside it gate. So that's what you have to look for. There's a few of them out there. They were pretty popular at the time. So let's see what else we have here. Oh yes, Arena. So I found a pretty decent copy of this for like $2. It was pretty beat up. But 3 colorless, tap to tap target creature you control and target creature an opponent's choice he or she controls. Each of those creatures deal damage equal to its power to the other. It's an interactive card. I mean, I thought it was pretty neat. I liked it just because of the ability that it has. It can be cool if you want. If they have 1 creature, well, I mean, there you go. Next one is Soratami, Cloud Chariot. So this is just another artifact, uncommon slot from Kamigawa. 2 colorless, target creature you control gains flying until end of turn. 2 colorless, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by a target creature you control this turn. So I think this is pretty cool. It's really expensive at 5 colorless, but it's a neat uncommon slot. Then I got a retwos Lantern, which is a 2 colorless. 3, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. If somebody's doing reanimation quite a bit and they don't really mess with their library, they don't get a lot of shuffles, I would play this so that you could mess with their strategy. I also think it's a cool artifact. There's a lot of things you can do with it. There are cards that let you name a card and then let you go find it, or search until you hit that card. So I think that's a pretty cool way to do that. Guess Grimoire. So I picked this up for my target God of Fright deck because of the discard effect. So 4 colorless artifact. When an opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you may draw a card. So in Tegrid, you want people to discard their cards. You want them to sacrifice creatures. Because anytime a permanent goes to the graveyard, either from their hand, then it comes into the battlefield under your control. And so not only do you do that, you get to draw a card off a guest grimoire. So I thought that was a good inclusion. I put it in there along with a couple of rats that reduce hand sizes. That's a whole thing I'll have to talk to about later. So let's look at some instants here. Visions of Beyond. Instant, 1 drop. Draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3 cards instead. It's a very popular card. As you can see, it's about $10. You could probably find it for $7, $8, maybe even less than that. But it's a good effect. It's a 1 blue. It's instant speed. So you could attach it to Isochron Scepter if you really wanted to and keep doing it to draw that card and eventually draw 3 cards and keep it going. And a lot of times in these spell slinging decks, you have 20 cards in your graveyard from what you've been playing all that entire time, that entire game. Or if you're discarding things, you're doing will effects. So this is a really good popular card. Yes, Lure. There's the southern coming out, right? Lure of Prey. So 2 green, 2 colorless. This is going for about $12. Wow, I was kind of surprised. I think I picked this one up for about $5 at the store. Pretty decent condition. Of course, this was, a couple weeks ago. Anyway, play only if an opponent successfully casts a summon spell this turn. Put a green summon card from your hand into play as though it were just played. So there's a great way to cheat out those big creatures. If something costs 6 or 8 and you don't quite have it, or you just have enough mana to play this and you need to play a multicolored creature, you don't have the red, this is a great way to cheat it out. There's tons of cards like this in green. You just have to go and seek them out and search for them. This and card draw and mono green is an absolute powerhouse. You just figure out how you want to play it and what you want to play. Then we've got Gifts Ungiven. So this is the copy from the Spell Slinger deck, the Spellbook Jace. Gifts Ungiven is actually a Kamigawa card originally. So it's 3 colorless and 1 blue. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. So really, if you're playing out of your graveyard, this is a win-win. As long as you're not, finding some way to screw yourself up. Just about anything that you pull would be an excellent choice for either the graveyard or your hand. So as far as I'm concerned, how you go for it. So let's look at some enchantments. I could have quite a bit. So we've got Reverence, which is 2 white, 2 colorless from Kamigawa. Enchantment, creatures with power 2 or less can't attack you. All those tokens, man, too bad. Sheesh. Gone. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool card. Then my favorite one, my big pick, the one with the banner on this, is Mana Bond. 1 green. Holy mackerel. I wish I would have known about this card before. It's only about $6 right now. It's been reprinted a couple times. But 1 green, enchantment, Mana Bond. At the beginning of your end step, you may reveal your hand and put all land cards from it onto the battlefield. If you do, discard your hand. Wow. Man, I'll tell you what. Talking about the mulch strategy, talking about sacrificing and drawing cards, filling up your hand. If you're playing this and you peer into the abyss yourself and you just go geek out and draw every single card in the half of your deck, or you just go and get all the cards from the half of your deck, you'll get a bunch of lands and you want to play them. So what you can do is play whichever you want that turn, and then when you get to your end step, you reveal your hand and you put all land cards from it onto the battlefield. Boom. And then you can chunk the rest of them in your graveyard if you want to. For me, this is a win-win. I really like this one. Also like being able to discard your hand to get it into the graveyard so you can have other triggers off of that. Great card. Fantastic way to play things. Great way to get stuff into the graveyard. As a matter of fact, there is a build that I'm working on now. It's a green-black spirit build, and there's a specific card in there that I absolutely love, and It's a spirit, and when you play a spirit or an arcane spell, then you reveal the top 3 cards of your library, and you put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. And I'll tell you what, man. You play 2 or 3 spirits a turn, or even just 1 spirit a turn, and you wind up refilling your hand. About turn 4 or 5, yeah, you may have cycled through and missed some of the good stuff, but you've got about 6 or 7 lands in your hand, and you need a way to dump them. You know, if you do a lot of card draw, or you go and you get lands consistently into your hand for whatever build, Mana Bond is a great way to get them out quick and without having to do any of the fuss. All right, so honestly, the last few cards I want to show you, these are all from Kamigawa. They're the Genji cycles, and I was thinking about building a commander deck with these. However, the commander that I wanted to use, which is Genju of the Realm, technically he's not commander able because we'll get to it. So let's look at the commander first, Genju of the Realm. So Wooburg, which is green, red, black, blue, and white. He's a legendary enchant land. 2 colorless, enchanted land becomes a legendary 8/12 spirit creature with trample until end of turn. It's still a land. When enchanted land is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Realm from your graveyard to your hand, so you can play it again. It seems pretty steep, right? You're playing Wooburg and you're paying an additional 2 to make a land a legendary. But here's what I'll throw at you with this. That land that you're playing that's going to be a legendary, it's not going to have summoning sickness because it's already out there. You're not summoning a creature, you're playing an enchantment, and the enchantment is becoming something. I think this is something that people overlook whenever they're looking at enchant creatures and lands that become enchanted and turn into creatures, or using lands as creatures. It's that those lands can be played right away, as long as they're not tapped, obviously, to pay for whatever you're doing. If that land's available and you have the mana to do this ability, then you can swing with it right off the bat. And you'll see here in a second the rest of these Genjus, they really play into that. And some of them are a lot better than the others, but for 5 color, I think I'd mess around with this. So let's go to the next one, which is Genju of the Spires. And I've played this a couple times, honestly. It's 1 red, Enchant Mountain. 2 colorless, Enchant Mountain becomes a 6/1 red spirit creature. Until end of turn, it's still a land. When Enchanted Mountain is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Spires from your graveyard to your hand. I really like this. If you really were trying to get a swing in early on, this does pretty good. I've been able to get this out turn 1 or 2, and then by turn 3, swinging around with it. Why not? If it's an open field and you can sling out 6 damage, sure. If it dies, not a big deal. Most of the time you can bring that land back into play, or you can bring it back to your hand. So let's go to the next one. I believe this is the white one. Yes, Genju of the Fields. 1 white, 2 colorless. Until end of turn, Enchanted Plains becomes a 2/5 white spirit creature with, when this creature deals damage, you gain that much life. It's still a land. When Enchanted Plains is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Fields from your graveyard to your hand. This is pretty great, man. You get a land that's a 2/5 base with lifelink base. So once you make it that creature, you can still pump it up with other effects. It's a down and dirty way to get something out there fighting. And then guess what? Once you swung with it and you go to the end of the turn, it's not a creature anymore, so it can't really be targeted unless they want to kill lands. So that's something neat that you can do with all of these, honestly. Genju of the Fins. This one, I've thought about running it in the mono black Cleric Son of Yawgmoth. Well, that is what I play. I plan to make a commander deck for most of my main commanders using only Kamigawa cards, and this one is definitely on my radar for Crick. So 1 black, enchant swamp, 2 colorless, until end of turn. Enchanted swamp becomes a 2/2 black spirit creature token with, and this is the great part, black. This creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It's still a land. And of course, when enchanted land is put into a graveyard, return it to your hand. So, when you're playing that deck, you're paying 2 life per swamp. Then you can sit there and sling a whole bunch of life into making this guy a 1/1 on top of his 2/2 base. And then when it dies, you lose your swamp, but you return this back to your hand. You pay your 2 life, put it on something else, and then you do it again. And if you could get this, oh my god, you know what you could do. To be fair, if you're going into black and white and you play a dual land that is a swamp and a plains, you can enchant it with Genju of the Fens and Genju of the Fields. That way, that enchanted plains and enchanted swamp, which is the same thing, a plain swamp, becomes a 2/5 white spirit token creature with, when this creature deals damage, you gain that much life, and it becomes a 2/2 black spirit with black. This creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It's still a land. On top of that, you could also mutate onto this if you wanted to whenever it's a creature. And why not? Because then your mutation, if you put it under that, right, you'll have your ability from your mutation, and you'll also get your black creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and you'll get your fields where it has lifelink. Whenever you do that, you attack. You pay for each turn, but you get these abilities. You pay into the abilities, you attack, you get lifelink, and when it's all said and done at end of turn, that land, which is not just enchanted but also mutated on, goes down to your land stack, and that mutated creature can't be interacted with unless they have specific land destruction, as long as the land is on top and is the primary. So isn't that fun? Anyway, I like these Genji guys. Genju of the Falls is the blue one. So 1 blue, enchant land. 2 colorless, enchant island becomes a 3/2 blue spirit with flying until end of turn, still a land. When enchant land is put into a graveyard, return to your hand. Return Genju to your hand. This one, yeah, it's pretty good. You've got the 3/2 blue spirit with flying. So that's something neat that you could do. I don't know that I would use this one, but you can give a land flying, and if you really wanted to go that route, I don't see why you couldn't. The next one is, you know what? It's finding those keywords where you can really mess with something. Let's go to Cedars, and I'll hold that thought and get back to you. So the last one is Genju of the Cedars, 1 green, enchant forest. 2 colorless, enchant forest becomes a 4/4 green spirit creature until end of turn. It's still a land. When enchant forest is put into a graveyard, you may return Genju of the Cedars from your graveyard to your hand. You know what you could do is, if you could get some of those triomes, then you could make them maybe some of the cedars. You can make them any of these Genjus. So I'll tell you what. Let me just look here real quick and see if I can find triomes. And I'll tell you, because those have 3 types. If you're not completely up to speed with that one. Let's see here. Let's get some images. Porn. No, I'm kidding. So I guess that there's only a few. I thought there was a lot more, but maybe there's just 5. Maybe. So you've got Idanza. Yeah, I think it's just 5. That's a shame. Hopefully they'll go back and reprint them. Wow. Okay. So you've got a plains, swamp, and forest. That's the Endatha. So actually, I mean, that's what you need right there. Plains, swamp, and forest. So plains, Genju of the plains, or whatever it was called, to give the 1 lifelink. Then you stick on there Genju of the fens, so that you can get the +1/+1. Then you stick on there Genju of the fern. I don't know if that's what it is. I can't remember. Cedars, Genju of the cedars, to make it 4/4 base. So now this is going to be mana intensive. But I think it's just funny. So now, if you make it the fern, you activate the fern for 2 colorless. You've got a 4/4 base. Then you activate the 2 for the fens, the swamp. Yeah, whichever was the black one. And now that creature is also a 2/2 with a +1/+1. Then you activate the plains one, and now it has lifelink. So you have all 3 of those abilities on that triome with the base power and toughness 4/4. You know, I think I'm probably wrong about that, but you know, it's pretty neat to think about. You could go down here and you could do the Zagoth. Zagoth. I don't know. It's pretty bad. Anyway, you've got Swamp Forest Island. And that one would be, yeah, that's I think that is a Zygoth Triumph. So you would have initially have the +1/+1, the forest 4/4 base, and then the flying 3/2 one you could put on that one. Then you got mountain, plains, and swamp. This one's a little bit better because you get a 6/1 base from the mountains, Genju. Then you get your lifelink from the plains. Then you get that adding +1/+1 with the swamp. You've got Ketra, to where you've got forest, island, and mountain. And, you know, so with this one, you got the 4/4, you have the flying, and then you have the 6/1. So that's, you don't want that one. Whoa. Ah, crap. Well, that shows you how great I am at this. Anyway, then you got the Rogron triome, which is island, mountain, plains. So you can get lifelink, 6/1, and flying if you were willing to invest 6 mana into making that land all those things at one time. It's hilarious. I love it. You know, I guess you could. I don't know. That's a question. Maybe they all are just 1 each. I like to think that you could stack it, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, then you just mutate onto them to do stuff with. Even if you're just doing them 1 at a time. Or activating them 1 at a time. Mutating onto those lands. It'd be a great way to hide your mutating creatures. We were talking about this the other day, so that's why I'm going on this ramble with it. But honestly, yeah, I think that'd be it. That'd be pretty much it. Well, anyway, I guess I'll let you go. Think about that one and see what you can come up with. Check out those Genjus. See if I'm right about that. And if you want to try it, give it a shot. Let me know. I'm really curious to see if it works. However, I do know for sure that once you make it in a land, you can mutate onto that land. And then at the end of the turn, when it goes back to just being a land, it's still going to have that mutation on it so that when you activate it, you can run it as that ability. So, yeah, mutation is broken. Not enough people play it. But look forward to talking to you guys again. And hope you're enjoying these shorts that I'm making. I just thought it would be kind of funny. That's why I'm making them. Something to pass the time with. Because I know not everybody wants to watch really long videos talking about singles and crazy, stupid fringe strategies. But that's what this channel is about. Keep coming back to the first 5 turns. And good night.